Something uncomfortable happened at the Madrid Open final, and it sparked a conversation that tennis cannot ignore. Picture this for a moment. A young player, overwhelmed, standing on one of the biggest stages of her career, trying to process a painful loss. Emotions are raw, tears are real, and instead of being given a second to breathe, she's suddenly pulled back into the spotlight. That moment didn't sit right with a lot of people, and one voice in particular didn't hold back at all. Mirra Andreeva walked into that final with momentum, belief, and the kind of fearless energy that has made her one of the most exciting young players on the tour right now. She had battled through a tough draw, taking down strong opponents and proving once again that she belongs at the very top level. But finals are different. The pressure hits harder. Every point feels heavier. And on the other side of the net was Marta Kostyuk, who brought her own intensity and focus into the match. From the start, it was clear that Kostyuk had a plan. She controlled the rhythm early, dictating play and forcing Andreeva into uncomfortable positions. The first set slipped away 6-3, and even though Andreeva tried to respond in the second, the match never fully turned in her favor. There were flashes of brilliance, moments where you could see her fighting spirit, but Kostyuk stayed composed and closed it out 7-5. Just like that, it was over. Now here's where things shift from tennis to something deeper. After the final point, Andreeva was visibly emotional. And not just the usual disappointment you see after a loss. This was raw. She grabbed her towel, tried to hide her face, and you could see how much it meant to her. Losing a final hurts. Losing after such a strong run hurts even more. And for a young player still learning how to navigate these big moments, it can feel overwhelming. And then came the moment that has everyone talking. While she was still trying to collect herself, a WTA official approached her and began giving instructions about the trophy ceremony. On paper, that might sound routine. After all, ceremonies have schedules, broadcasters are waiting. Everything needs to move smoothly. But in that exact moment, it felt out of place. Almost tone deaf. Because what we saw wasn't just a player waiting for directions. We saw a teenager trying not to break down completely on one of the biggest stages in tennis. That's when Rennae Stubbs stepped in with a reaction that quickly caught attention. She didn't sugarcoat it. Her response was sharp, direct, and honestly, it reflected what a lot of fans were already thinking. She essentially called out the lack of sensitivity in that moment, questioning why a player in visible distress couldn't be given even a short window to breathe before being pulled into formalities. And this isn't coming from just anyone. Stubbs knows the tour inside out. She's been there. She's competed at the highest level, and she understands the emotional toll this sport can take. Her words carried weight because they came from experience. What makes this situation more interesting is that it highlights something tennis doesn't always talk about enough. The balance between professionalism and humanity. Yes, tournaments are structured. Yes, there are timelines. But players are not machines. They're dealing with pressure, expectations, and emotions that most people can't fully relate to. Andreeva, to her credit, handled the situation with maturity beyond her years. When she spoke after the match, she didn't show frustration or anger. Instead, she praised Kostyuk for her performance, acknowledging the level her opponent brought to the court. That alone tells you a lot about her mindset. She also took a moment to thank her team, the people behind the scenes who support her through both wins and losses. It was a composed response, especially considering how emotional she had been just minutes earlier. But that doesn't mean the moment itself should be brushed aside. Because here's the bigger question. Should players be expected to switch from heartbreak to ceremony mode instantly? In theory, maybe. In reality, it's not that simple. We've seen similar situations in the past, across different tournaments and levels of the game. Players losing big matches and then immediately being asked to speak, smile, and participate in formalities. Sometimes they handle it smoothly. Sometimes it's awkward. And sometimes, like this, it feels uncomfortable to watch. The issue isn't about blaming individuals. It's about the system, the way these moments are structured, the expectations placed on players in high-pressure situations, and whether there's room for a more human approach. Stubbs' criticism wasn't just about one incident. It was about what that incident represents. A reminder that even in a highly professional sport, there needs to be space for empathy. And fans noticed. Social media quickly filled with reactions. Many supporting the idea that Andreeva should have been given more time. Others pointed out that this is something the tour could easily improve without disrupting the flow of events. A short pause. A moment of understanding. It doesn't take much. At the same time, it's important to recognize the complexity. Tournament organizers are working within tight schedules. Broadcasters, sponsors, and audiences all play a role in how these events are run. Changing protocols isn't always straightforward. But moments like this create an opportunity to rethink things. For Andreeva, the focus now shifts forward. Despite the loss, her run in Madrid was another strong statement. She continues to build her reputation, showing that she can compete deep into big tournaments. And the experience of playing and losing a final like this will only add to her growth. Next up is another major challenge. The upcoming tournament in Rome will bring together some of the biggest names in the sport. Players like Aryna Sabalenka, Elena Rybakina, Coco Gauff, and Iga Swiatek will all be in the mix. It's a stacked field, and it offers Andreeva another chance to test herself against the very best. And that's the beauty of tennis. There's always another match, another opportunity, another story waiting to unfold. But this moment in Madrid will stick with people. Not because of the result, but because of what happened after. Because it reminded us that behind every scoreline, there's a human story. A player dealing with emotions that don't disappear just because the match is over. And maybe, just maybe, it pushes the sport to take a small step forward. To look at these moments and ask how they can be handled better. Because in the end, it's not just about who wins or loses. It's about how the game treats its players when the spotlight is at its brightest. What do you think? Should tennis change the way it handles post-match moments like this? Or is it just part of the professional game that players have to adapt to? Let me know your thoughts, because this is a conversation that's far from over. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Tennis Desk, and turn on notifications so you never miss the biggest stories in tennis. I'll see you in the next one.